am that duck. I am that duck.
Hey, what's up soldiers? My name's GregFPS, the Zombies Extraordinaire, and welcome back to another video here today on the channel. Everyone thinks my zombies opinions are wrong, so I decided to take a step back and review each zombies map based off 20 categories. Each category is worth 5 points for a cumulative total of 100. This is a totally serious review, memes included. If you would like to watch my previous reviews on all the World at War and Black Ops 1 maps, the playlist will be linked down below in the description. This is episode 11, Transit, the map that could have been amazing.
Holy crap, the bridge is going down! Wait, it stopped! Let's just test its structural integrity by continuing to drive this heavy bus over it, shall we?
Back on November 12, 2012, Black Ops 2 was released. Transit was the on-disc map along with 4 survival subsets of Transit, which are Bus Depot, Diner, Farm, and Town. Those will be included within this review. Transit introduced the first riot shield into zombies. Although 5 had the first buildables, Transit has way more things to build, including building a wonder weapon for the first time, which was the Thrustodyne Aeronautics Model 23, aka the jet gun, along with the turbine, power switch, shield, turret, electric trap, bus, and the nav card table. Transit introduced the bus, which was one of the greatest things ever, and it included Ted. Ted has the best quotes in zombies history. They are hilarious. Transit was the first time we got introduced to the Victus crew. It consisted of Misty, Marlton, Stuhlinger, and Russman. All characters have unique qualities which make them interesting and fun to play as. Transit was also the first map to have 2 separate Easter egg paths. Although they have the same completion achievement, you are either following the Richthofen path or the Maxis path. Maxis is canon in the zombie storyline. The map introduced 2 different enemies, which were the Avogadro and Denizens. The Denizens are littered all over the map, so anytime you're in the fog, they are going to spawn. There are some cool tricks that you can do to make them less annoying, which I will talk about later on in the review. The map's wonder weapon was the jet gun, which is widely considered one of the worst wonder weapons, but it is just because most people don't know how to use it properly. The map also included new melee weapon, which was the Galvanuckles, and also EMP grenades, which were a new equipment. Perma perks were also introduced in Transit, which helped players a ton, and also a bank, which allowed you to save up to 250,000 points. There was also a fridge, which you could save most weapons in. Transit also introduced a new perk called Tombstone. It costs 2,000 points, and it would allow a player to die as soon as they go down if they decide to. The next round, they have 90 seconds after respawning to grab the drop that appears. If they grab the drop, they will have all their perks except for Tombstone, and also they would get all the guns that they previously had. It is basically rendered by the community as a pretty useless perk, and to be honest, it's not really that helpful, but it can be used, however, on Town to get all 6 perks on the map. Black Ops 2 had so much innovation, and it all started on Transit. I give it a 5 out of 5.
If you look to your left, you'll see the river of lava that we appear to be falling into. Time to panic!
Transit's atmosphere is exactly what you would expect from Earth after rockets exploded. The effects were shown drastically through Transit. Lava leaking through the pavement, tons and tons of fog making it basically impossible to see where you were between areas without lights. There's a bunch of storms going on with lightning and thunder in the atmosphere of Earth, which also adds a creepy vibe to the map. There is literally so much debris everywhere you go. The atmosphere of an abandoned town with a bus, farm, diner, and more, it just felt extremely eerie and gloomy. Transit's atmosphere is a 5 out of 5. GG Treyarch, they did a great job once again.
Hey, perhaps you should disembark and explore this darkened forest. I'm sure nothing bad will happen.
Instead of basing it off of my personal opinion, I did a poll on Twitter, and out of the 752 votes, the community decided 5 out of 5 was a proper grade for the nostalgia of Transit. Transit is definitely not considered a fantastic map by some people, but many people commented on how they loved hopping on and playing time with friends. For many people, it was their first map, so I'm not surprised at the results at all.
Attention passengers, next bus stop is the island of Hawaii. We're all going to drop.
There are two different traps that you can build on Transit. The first one is the machine gun turret at the farm area of the map. This trap requires 3 parts. Once built, you still need a turbine to power it. It can kill zombies, but if you step in front of it at all and you're in the path of a zombie, it can down you extremely fast in one shot. The second trap is the electric barrier trap. Honestly, this is the most useless buildable in zombies history. It makes no sense what to do with it, and it also can down you. I built it 3 times for this video and didn't get 1 kill with it the entire time. Also, you need a turbine for it as well. Overall, the traps get a 2 out of 5. They are awful.
Secluded wooded areas perfect for hiding corpses or quiet murders coming right up.
The wonder weapon on Transit is the Thrustodyne Aeronautics Model 23 or the jet gun. The jet gun has 4 parts around the map they need to collect. The first part is the jet turbine, which can be located in the tunnel between Bus Depot and Diner. The next part is located in the cornfield in the Nocturne area. It is a motorcycle handbrake. The next part can be located in the power area, and it is a spool of wire. The last and final part is gauges, which can be found in the hunter's cabin in the woods by town. All these parts must be brought one by one to the build table in town inside the barroom next to the pool table. The jet gun deals unlimited damage, but it does require a recharge time. If you use all the power of the jet gun, it can break, which is by far the worst thing about it. The jet gun sucks zombies in and disintegrates them. You need to pay attention to the gauges, because once it reaches red, it takes a while to recharge. The only way to recharge it is by holding it out, and makes you move extremely slow and takes a total of 40 seconds to recharge. It counts as an equipment like the turbine or shield, so it doesn't take up a gun slot. The jet gun is a pain to build, and how long it takes to recharge is a pain. The EMP grenades are required for both sides of the Easter egg, and when thrown at zombies, they stop and move aimlessly until a player gets too close to them, shoots, or runs. The EMPs also disable perks, and is a good way to troll everyone when you play Transit. The wonder weapons on Transit and equipment are a 2.5 out of 5. They are both awful.
Corn maze. Disembark for the dizzying corn maze that you'll never get out of.
There are no special rounds on Transit, which I think is a good thing. The main boss on the map is Cornelius Purnell, which we all know now is the Avogadro. He spawns after you turn on the power. He will spawn when it is lightning and at the start of a new round. The earliest round the Avogadro can spawn is round 3. The only way to kill the Avogadro is by throwing an EMP grenade at it or melee damage. It takes 5 regular knives, 4 melees with the Bowie knife, or 2 punches with the Galvanuckles. The only other enemies besides the zombies are the denizens. When you're in the fog or the mist of the map, they will attack you and make screeching noises. They are by far the worst thing about Transit besides the fog and lava. They do not give you any points, which is a huge pain, and they can be knifed off in 5 regular knives, 3 knives with the Bowie knife, and 2 with Galvanuckles. One of the tricks you can do is hold out a turbine, and as soon as the denizens lunge toward you and screech, if you turn around, you can kill the denizens in 2 knives. Overall, for enemies, I give them a 3.5 out of 5. They're annoying, but there's no denying they're actually pretty good enemies on the map.
What could go wrong at a darkened diner with gasoline covering the ground?
There are a couple different transportation methods on Transit. The first one is the bus. Ted, like I already mentioned, is one of my favorite things in all of zombies. He starts off at the start of the game at Bus Depot in the spawn area and will make his way around a continuous loop of Bus Depot, Diner, Farm, Power Station, and Town. The next transportation method is the teleporters that you can take from a green lamp to another around the map. The power must be on, but if it isn't, you can use a turbine and need to get a denizen to go under the lamp in order to create a portal. Then you can jump in the portal and teleport. Other than using the bus and teleporting, you need to run around the map, which can be a huge hassle. I think the transportation methods are pretty good, so I give them a 4 out of 5.
Abandoned power facility up ahead. Disembark and light up the neighborhood, why don't ya?
Most people don't play Transit for fun unless they're going for high rounds. The good thing about Transit, however, is that you also have the subsets maps to play on for fun as well. The most popular thing to play is by far Town. It is a simple survival map with 6 perks, a couple box locations, Pack-a-Punch, and the lava, and that's about it. When people go for high rounds on Transit, there are a lot of steps required. The first step most people do is run backwards from Bus Depot into the fog to Town. The bank is a great way to get enough points to set up quickly and as fast as possible. If you plan on getting the jet gun, you need to spend the extra time running around to get all the parts around the map. This is by far the most annoying part of this map, so most people like to skip it and just get guns that are Pack-a-Punch. Pack-a-Punch is another huge annoyance. You need to place a turbine as soon as you drop down to the power station area. Then in a co-op game, you also need to place another turbine down inside of the bank vault. If you are playing solo, once you place one down at the power station, it should be open. The main issue with this is zombies can destroy the turbine very easily, so you need to either save a zombie or end the round and get out of the power area as fast as possible. Once you turn on the power, you can buy perks, but if you do not turn on the power and use the turbine, once the turbine breaks or gets damaged from zombies, the perks don't actually work. The map setup is a long process and overall not player friendly. So for that, I give it a 2 out of 5.
I warned you about this place, but I doubt you'd listen.
There are two different sides of the Easter egg on Transit. First, we are going to talk about the harder side, which is the Richthofen side. The first thing you need to do is turn on power and build the turbine. After that is complete, at least 2 players must get EMP grenades from the box. Then you go to the cornfield under the tower and you need to get the jet gun and use it till it breaks underneath the tower. Once it breaks, then you need to get 25 explosive kills underneath. Having the ray gun makes this step a lot easier. As soon as you are done, every player must leave the cornfield and one person will teleport away. Once teleported, each player must make a portal and throw one EMP at the ground, teleport immediately, and throw another as soon as they get to the new location. The Max's side of the Easter egg is a lot easier but requires a little more RNG. What you need to do is turn on power, and once power is fully on, you need to turn the power back off. Then you need one person to get EMP grenades from the box and make their way to the tower. As soon as there is lightning above the tower, you need to end the round. If done correctly, the Avogadro will spawn and you need to EMP him underneath the tower while 2 turbines are underneath. Then you need to place those 2 turbines that were underneath the tower under 2 lights on the map. You will see energy running through the power line when it is completed. Overall, once you get past the fog, lava, and denizens, the Easter eggs are pretty simple and easy. So for that, I give them a 3 out of 5.
Everyone up for the rotten burnout hellhole crawling with the undead.
There is a song called Carry On that can be activated on Transit. There are 3 teddy bears that need to be activated. The first one is right outside Bus Depot to the benches on the right. The next teddy bear is upstairs in the second level of the build table room on a mattress at farm. And the third teddy bear is located on a bench inside the bar in town. This song was written by Kevin Sherwood and was sung by Clark S. Nova. The song Nightmare by Avenged Sevenfold was also on Transit at the launch of Black Ops 2, but it ended up getting removed shortly after. The music Easter egg is good, but not the best, so I give it a 3.5 out of 5. The instrumental version is also the background music for this video in case you were wondering.
Everyone off the bus. It's time to get murdered underground.
The storyline of Transit is pretty interesting. Let's take a look at the timeline and see what it says. April 10th, 2023. Broken Arrow creates the Denizens. July 8th, 2025. Broken Arrow accidentally creates the Avogadro. October 13th, 2025. Using the Vril device and the focusing stone, Richthofen completes his grand scheme and swaps bodies with Samantha on the moon, giving him full control of the zombies and the Aether. Maxis contacts the remaining members of Ultimus through the station's electronics and asks for their help to defeat Richthofen. They agree. They launch missiles at Earth, leaving it fractured and broken. They sever Richthofen's connection with the Aether, but he maintains control over the zombies. Once Maxis controls the Aether in 2035, he returns to the moon and plucks Samantha from Richthofen's body to join him in Agartha. A nuclear test bomb explodes outside of Nuketown as a result of Broken Arrow's drilling. CIA and CDC operatives arrive to find an undead outbreak already in progress. One of the missiles from the moon hits Nuketown, killing all on sight, except for Marlton Johnson, who survives by hiding in a nuclear bunker. November 5th, 2025. Broken Arrow is disbanded after the primary facility is lost in a fire. It is later believed that an act of arson committed by employees destroying evidence implicating them in the outbreak. Russman, his mind broken after over 40 years of exposure to Element 115, begins to wander the Earth. March 27th, 2027. A society of survivors who eat the undead is formed. They are the Flesh. June 18th, 2027. Through the consumption of the undead meat, the Flesh begin hearing Richtofen's voice. He tries to persuade them to build global polarization devices for him in pursuit of his new plan, to mend the rift in space and time and acquire full control over the Aether. June 28th, 2027. Maxis begins communicating to survivors on Earth, telling those who are willing to listen to build global polarization devices for him in pursuit of his new plan, to open Agartha and reunite him with Samantha, even though it will result in the destruction of the Earth. April 4th, 2028. The Flesh broadcast their message across all frequencies. They tell others to heed our call and that the plan to enlightenment can be achieved by consuming the undead. December 9th, 2028. Maxis' followers begin constructing a spire near the Hanford site facility. January 3rd, 2029. Maxis' followers begin to doubt him, believing he may be in fact evil. They destroy their electronics. March 2nd, 2029. Maxis' followers attempt to speak to him again. Many have begun to hear Richtofen, and those loyal to Maxis eagerly await further instruction. August 15, 2029. A broadcast is sent out confirming the fall of the Flesh and Maxis' followers. With each group hearing the voice of Richtofen or Maxis, a battle broke out between them. As they fought, a zombie horde moved in and destroyed all who remained. Stuhlinger is one of the few to escape. Richtofen and Maxis are left with no one to communicate near Green Run, where the first polarization device must be constructed. October 13, 2035. Stuhlinger bumps into Russman, who has stolen a bus for an abandoned Broken Arrow facility. October 21st, 2035. Transit. Stuhlinger and Russman run into Marlton and Abigail Misty Brereton at a diner near the Hanford site facility. Maxis asks them to complete the polarization device in his favor. Stuhlinger, having consumed zombie meat, is contracted by Richtofen, who orders Stuhlinger to construct the device for him instead. The crew constructs the device for Maxis. The four would become known as Victus. I give the story a 4.5 out of 5 for Transit because it shows the origins of how Victus was created and formed, and overall the story is just super interesting with the Flesh and the people listening to Richtofen and Maxis. It's just really cool, and I love the story overall.
Stay behind the yellow lines at all times, or you'll be sorry, asshole.
Transit itself does not have a lot of replayability, but the subset maps definitely do. Most people love playing Town, and since it was an on-disc map, everyone who has Black Ops 2 has access to it. It is a basic survival map that has Pack-a-Punch and the box, so it is great for players who don't want any Easter eggs and they just want to kill zombies. If players want to challenge themselves more, they can also hop on Bus Depot and Farm, which is much more difficult because there's no Pack-a-Punch, and on Bus Depot there are no perks. Since Town also had Grief Mode and Turn was on Diner, it added even more replayability to the game, so I give it a 4.5 out of 5 for replayability.
Keep fucking with me. See if I don't crash this bus and kill you all.
Transit is the largest map in all of Zombies history. Because it is so big, that does not mean that it flows well. The map is basically a huge circle that the bus goes around. When traversing around the map, you can ride the bus, but sometimes it leaves so fast that you miss the bus. When you miss the bus, you're forced to travel through the fog and lava and denizens. You can teleport with the lights once power is on, or if you're using a turbine, but you have a random teleport which could literally bring you anywhere on the map, which is a huge problem. The gameplay is practically non-existent unless you're in one of the 5 areas between Town, Bus Depot, Farm, Diner, and Power. The gameplay is really only good when playing survival maps, to be honest. I give the map flow and gameplay a 2 out of 5.
Farewell. I hope you enjoyed your journey with us. May I suggest you run?
Transit is a very original map. The idea to build everything was something totally new to Zombies, besides adding a power switch to the metal detector on 5. Having to build Pack-a-Punch, traps, the wonder weapon, and everything else was a totally new dynamic that continued in Zombies ever since. The map was a really cool idea, having such a large map but unfortunately Treyarch was not able to include everything they originally intended. They had to cut a lot of content, and that's why the fog consumes the map so much. It was a really cool idea to play on Earth after the events of Moon, and I really like how it had a different survival type feel than it originally did with the Ultimus crew. It felt as if we were playing as normal people instead of soldiers, which was an original feeling. Overall, originality is definitely a 5 out of 5. Treyarch did a great job.
Fuck you! Get your ass off my bus!
Transit has some very impressive records because it is definitely not a fan favorite map. The high round record is round 149 by Figsu. Bus Depot, which is one of the most difficult maps, is also held by Figsu with a record of round 82. On high round games, the ray gun and the ray gun Mark II are the main way to kill zombies, but it takes extremely long to go for high rounds, especially when you need to do trade outs to get the ray gun back. The Easter egg speedrun on Transit is 6 minutes and 28 seconds on the 2-player Max's side and 12 minutes and 11 seconds on the Richthofen side. They are some of the fastest and shortest Easter eggs in all of Zombies history. There are also crazy records on farm, with the high round record on PC being round 96. Overall, I give the records a 5 out of 5. In my opinion, anyone that takes the time to go for high rounds on these maps really must enjoy it, because I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Your privileges have been fucking revoked!
There's currently no remakes of Transit, but many expect it to be part of Zombies Chronicles 2, which might release in the future. I'm excluding this section from the review.
This bus is out of order. A replacement driver has been notified and will be here in approximately 123 years. We're all fucked.
The most common camping spots I could find on Transit are in the tunnel and also in the town area. In the tunnel, it is right next to the M16 wall buy. What you do is pack punch the M16, and since there is a railing, all the zombies run from directly in front of you. The other camping spot is at the top level of the bar. Since the zombies cannot jump up to the top level, they need to run up the stairs and out of the window, making it easy to drop down if you get overrun. I give the camping spots a 3.5 out of 5.
Passengers who engage in violence will be forcefully ejected.
There are a lot of training spots on Transit. Pretty much all the main areas have enough room to train. There's a really good camping spot on Town, specifically next to the Stamina Up and M14 wall buy. There's plenty of room to move around easily, and you can group up the zombies. You can also train very easily around in the bus depot area, farm, and also in the diner area. I give the training spots a 4 out of 5. And also, when I was talking about Town, it was literally Town, not all of Transit.
No free rides. Bus thieves will be punished severely.
Transit is a good map to play co-op. It makes it a lot more fun, and usually there's a lot of laughs when talking about how bad the map is. The Easter eggs can only be done in co-op with either 2, 3, or 4 players. High rounds are definitely not very common on Transit co-op. A lot of people play Towns co-op because they find it enjoyable to work together to get higher rounds. I give co-op a 4 out of 5.
Danger! This bus is not equipped for rooftop sightseeing.
Solo is definitely not the preferred way to play any of the map subsets of Transit or Transit itself. Since the Easter egg is not able to be done solo, the only main reason people play solo is to go for higher rounds. You can build the jet gun to use solo, but with the 40-second recharge time, it does take a long time to kill hordes of zombies, even though it effectively deals unlimited damage. For solo, I give Transit a 2.5 out of 5.
Consolidated Coach Corporation Bus Lines is not responsible for your safety.
Let's tally up the totals and see where Transit ends up. We were not able to include all 20 categories because I excluded the remake section because there's not been one made for Transit yet. Out of the possible 95 points, we got a total of 70.5. 70.5 divided by 95 equals 0.742 points, rounded down to 74%. I think this grade is right where I expected. Transit is widely regarded as one of the worst maps in Zombies history, so I'm not surprised it came out as the 4th lowest grade, above only Nacht, Varrock, and Shinonuma. Thanks for watching. I will be planning from now on to make these every other week because they take too much time and effort to make once per week. The next video is going to be on Nuketown, so you can expect it in 2 weeks.